I record this podcast on Gadigal country. I'd like to pay my respect to the traditional custodians.
And I'm recording on Wurundjeri country, part of the Kulin Nation. Let's go.
Oh, my stomach be rumbling. I just had 4 eggs. Like, chill out, bro.
Where are you getting these eggs from?
I know, sis. Where are the eggs? There's a big strike on eggs. Apparently all the chickens are going on strike.
And you got 4?
Yes. I know.
How this combo starts. Where the eggs at?
I know. Buck, buck.
Oh.
Where the chickens
All right.
Stop.
I know you're gonna dig this.
It's like I've been given, like, an extra sprinkle of something.
You got layers.
Yeah, I got layers.
I was just thinking, I'm like, we're just such beautiful storytellers.
You're making a lot of sense today, girl. No, I'm done.
Let's jump into it, honest to God.
I'm super excited because last week I got to go to the opening night of an incredible new Australian play called Big Girls Don't Cry by the one and only Dalara Williams, and she is here with us in studio here at Nova on Gadigal country. Now, Dalara, please tell our audience who you are, where you mob from.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am Dalara Williams. I am Wiradjuri and Gumbaynggirr, but I was born and raised on Gadigal, especially my community, Redfern.
And that is exactly where this play is set.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little
1960s.
bit about the play. I haven't seen it. Unfortunately, I'm in Melbourne.
I know. People going, can it come to Melbourne?
I know, please. Please.
Yeah, it's a rom-com of 3 women that are living in Redfern in the 60s, and it's just a story about how they're navigating their life, whether it's through love and work and social, and they're all leading up towards their big night, which is the 1966 Debutant Ball.
Oh, ours was like the Year 10 river cruise to translate. Like everyone had their like Debutant Ball, but I was like, yeah, Year 10 river cruise. Woo!
Can you tell us what a debutante ball is? Because
Yeah.
some people might be thinking, well, what is that? You know, I know what it brings to mind for me are the white dresses.
Yes. So it is this sort of high white society. You see it in Bridgerton of these debutantes,
Okay.
and you sort of announce yourself to society. And you dress up and you do a type of partner dance, but it is just presenting yourself in these glorious gowns. A part of debutante ball is that the women have to ask the men to be their partner.
Okay.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah.
And so that's part of it. And yeah, I think Aboriginal people just wanted to be part of sort of a society that didn't want them, and they did their own spin of it. So debutantes still exist to this day.
Really?
In a lot of Aboriginal communities.
There you go. So when you were doing a bit of like research and having yarns with your aunties and your grandmothers, what was their link to the debutante ball? What were their memories like that came to mind? Was it always positive?
Always. I think my grandmothers, they're just always known to be the belle of the ball. They loved dressing up. They loved looking good. And this was just another example for them to dress up and dance. My auntie Esther, who was there to teach a lot of the people how to dance. And so she ran the dance classes and taught the women that came from country into the city about how to best to present yourself so you don't really have trouble in the city and how to navigate that space. And she's only the real person that I mention in the play. Everyone else is sort of made up.
Yeah.
But I wanted to keep her and what her role is towards the debutante.
That's so beautiful. That's like such a nice tribute. Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to assume like the dancing was like, yeah, not like your modern dancing now, but like it was that like
No slut drops?
like that real,
Is that what they're called these days? Or what's the progressive word for that? Because that doesn't sound like it should be used in 2025.
I don't think so. My knees are damaged from those days.
Yeah. Oh my God, what
I
would you
cracked my
call
pants
it?
a lot.
Yeah, you'd split your pants down the
Yeah.
crack. Yeah.
Yeah, I did many times.
Something like, is it Death Drop and Vogue?
No, that's a Vogue, yes.
Yeah, that's a Vogue.
Instead of a slut drop, I think we should just call it a sleigh drop.
Sleigh drop?
Sleigh drop.
That's so cool. You got community in Northern Territory. They call it Bam Bam.
Oh.
Is this these ones?
Yeah,
Boom, boom, boom?
it's more about the speed of it.
Okay.
Oh, got you, yeah.
So they call it, are you Bam Bam?
Well, our aunties and nanas weren't doing that in the Debutant. Like, let's be honest.
But they were go-go dancers with short skirts.
These ones.
Nice.
Yes.
So they knew how to move.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Bridgerton. Like, I know, there's some colonial aspects to it, but I feel like I love that kind of princess sort of era of dressing up, and it's not fantasy, but it's kind of like
impersonating?
It's
kind
sort of
of
like
like a
reimagining
princess
of the
era.
world. Yeah, because it is a reality. Like, it happened. It wasn't that I made that up.
Totally.
No, it's
'Cause
happening still.
Yeah, you had the 66 one, which was only small. I think it was only under not even 200 people that attended. And then you had the big one, which was in 1968 at Sydney Town Hall. Ooh. And that was presented in front of the Prime Minister of the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Historic, really.
Yeah.
And you're just recreated this story around these historic moments, but it has fictional characters.
Brooke, they're so funny.
Yeah,
I can't explain how great the chemistry is between Dalara, Steph, and Megan on stage. You three are friends. What has it been like? I know that there was, at the start of this process, when you had all the actors in the room, you continued to develop the story, right?
Yeah.
You did some cuts. You continued to work it. Did you take inspiration from, Megan and Steph when doing that?
Of course. I can't deny that. They're just such wonderful women with the amazing personalities and just seeing, because they're starting to think like the characters. And that was really wonderful as a writer, because there was a point where I go, you know these characters more than me, in really safe hands. I've known Megan. We've known each other for 14 years. This is our first time on main stage, a professional job. So we haven't acted since 2012 together.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And for her to be in this piece as Queenie, that I think it's everyone's favourite character. Everyone is a bit of a Queenie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I used to get called Queenie. That was my nickname growing up. Yeah.
There you go.
So I was a little bit bossy.
That's it. So, yeah, she was a Queenie. And Steph being Lulu, that just brings this light and love and joy to that character.
Yeah, she sort of floats through the world, doesn't she?
Yeah,
she sort of lives above some of the trauma as well, which I love to see. Like, she faces it, but she also has this sort of flotation-esque where she's like, it's fine.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
she's just a dreamer. And she just wants to see the best in everybody and in the world.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the black joy in that room, honest to God.
Oh, my goodness. We had mob night the night before opening.
Did that go off?
It was something else.
What is that? Sorry?
So we had community nights, and so it was just mob night for all of community. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It sort of gives them, they're in the space of their own, and they got to express. So they were so loud and wanted to talk and but they were on it. It was like Bold and the Beautiful for them.
Ooh,
They were there all the way, and there were comments, and there was this beautiful moment of a scene between Queenie and Ernie, which is Guy Simon and Megan Wilding. And Queenie sort of is talking about how I want to be wanted without having to ask. And you had an auntie just call out going, tell her to Ernie's character. They were just there the whole way. And it was something that was really special because I wrote it for community.
Yes. When you were casting, I know that you have a room full of good friends.
Yes.
Was that important to you?
Yes. Oh, well, the funny thing is that everyone auditioned. And that was one thing that I really wanted to do is you can go and pick your friends, but then you have to navigate work ethics.
Totally.
And especially with new work, and you really want great minds in there to navigate the space for you because as a writer and also acting in it, it can be a bit overwhelming. Megan did an audition. That was her role from the get-go. Yeah. I can't imagine anybody else being her. I think somebody said And Megan Wilding steals the scenes as Queenie. And I was like, no, Queenie steals the scenes. That she's written that way.
Exactly.
To just
right.
take up space and what it means for black women to absolutely take up space and be unapologetic about it.
But there is a beautiful tenderness to the character as well.
Yeah.
And I think we see that with Queenie. I think that there's a brave front,
Yes.
but she's vulnerable. She's squishy,
Yeah,
you know?
she's insecure.
Yes.
And I think like all of us, you see such big personalities and then you could sort of go, what's underneath that? And it's just them trying to survive.
Yeah.
And I find that really beautiful amongst, especially for Aboriginal people that we don't get to see a lot, is our vulnerability.
Yeah. And our joy.
And our joy.
And our joy, our black joy, which is what was on display on that stage for sure. Like there's a lot of black joy. I wanted to ask you about your writing process.
Yes.
I know that it's very different for a lot of people.
It varies. It's one thing, I make a playlist, especially writing something in the 60s. I made a playlist of 60s music because I wanted to hear what the characters would be listening to on radio, what is being spoken to in that time. But there is doubts, especially when you're writing about romance. You can go, oh, that's a bit cheesy. Oh, these words don't. Is it going too far? But people love cheese.
They do.
They do.
They love
They
a
eat
good.
it up.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. People really lap romance and cheese, and I think I haven't really personally seen a lot of love stories around First Nations culture. But it's nice to see like it showcased in like physical form. I want to see more First Nations love stories on our telly.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your career, Dalara. Like, I know you've been acting for quite a long time now. You know, what was your first job? Was it a stage show or was it screen?
Oh, yeah. My first was a stage show. I did sort of kids pantomime kind of thing called Woolloomonayu and the Seven Bumanui, which is a Tiwi play that was written by the lovely Jason DeSantis.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And it was about Snow and the Seven Dwarfs, but in Tiwi. And so I got to learn about Tiwi culture through that.
Wow.
Eamon Flack, who is the artistic director of Belvoir, directed it. So that was my first contact with him.
Full circle moment.
I know, yeah. And then I went to study. I think I really wanted to understand more about the craft. And I always say you learn the language of the arts through study.
You really do. I had no idea, like, the lingo that was used and thrown around in, I guess, the craft of acting. But then going and studying, it just makes so much sense, don't you reckon? Like,
Yeah.
So you went to NIDA. How was that? 3 years? The course? A slog?
Everyone has their stories of going to drama school. But it was a real lesson for me. I found my voice in, especially politically, through NIDA. And just speaking up and just questioning the system.
Yeah.
Of going, why this? Why do I have to sound like this? Why? It was a lot of that. And I don't know if they got annoyed about it. But from that, I came out and I did black comedy and Top End Wedding and another film, The Flood. And then I sort of just bounced between TV and stage. And I think writing then started creeping in because I love Toni Morrison, and she says if there's a book that you really want to read and it hasn't been written, then it's up to you to write it.
100%.
And I think that's how it came in. I've gone, I have all these stories, especially through the black lens, and because I'm so close to community and I just see such amazing characters that I just want to see everybody and everything.
Yeah, yes.
And I go, I might as well, if I have that skill, I might as well put it to practice. And
Absolutely.
So have you
Taking
got
up
the writing?
space.
100%. Have you got the writing bug now? Like, are you already thinking, what is the next story?
oh, yes. Yes, I do. I
Yeah.
have my next story. I'm still part of Balnaves is it's Redfern again. They're talking about like the Redfern trilogy.
No.
And I want to
love
do
this.
Redfern on the block in 1988 in the lead up to the bicentennial.
Wow.
And so I love this mixing with historic events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just sprinkling all this sort of creative stories that are just made up around that. I find that marrying them together is so fascinating to me.
Will you
Beautiful.
stay on the realm of like romance?
You could do a thriller.
Genre? Yeah.
Look,
like,
there is romance in anything. And you can
100%.
sprinkle horror in that. They're the tricks.
I know romance horror stories. Tell you that. I know romance horror stories.
You can fit into anything.
Oh, I
But
love
yeah,
that.
I
sis.
love the idea of writing about love, writing about people loving black women, wanting black women, desiring them.
Yeah.
I love it because I feel like black women are just absolutely sexy and beautiful and just like charismatic and just own themselves in there. And I think we don't give them enough love, especially in media.
Absolutely.
No.
Almost combating what we know about black women, isn't it? It's like the misinterpretation, the stereotypes.
Yeah.
It's writing what black women actually are and not how the media see them. I love that.
Growing up, like, did you see a black woman that really inspired you, or like, did you see someone that you were like, yeah, that's a bit of me?
In my real life, I can't help but say my mother. She dresses up. She loves makeup, and she always looked good.
Bless.
And just watching when you're a kid, you get a bit of embarrassment because they just take up space. But then when you're older, you're going, I always channel her when I want a bit of confidence.
Love it. That is so beautiful.
Yeah,
I want to be that bougie mom rocking up at school pickup being like, I'm the mother of this daughter.
that's it.
Big hoop earrings, like I will. Just watch. I will. I think that's really beautiful. I feel like I am always really inspired by women who take so much pride in like what they wear and how they carry themselves. There's someone who just like walks into a room. There's a few people in my life that are like black women that I'm like, that's just you demand the room. And I think that there's not many stories about women demanding a room, right? Like I feel like if we look at what's trending and what's like streaming at the moment, like all the majority of the love stories and romance like stories are these like, not to be mean, but like these basic white women who like don't have spice or flavor. Like give us a little bit of something.
Bland chicken.
Bland. Yeah, literally like boiled chicken. Trust God.
Yeah.
Like the love, like you said at the start of this episode, the love. Like where do we, like everything that I see sometimes is just sometimes playing into that discourse, and I'm like, no, there's so much love in our communities. Like go and watch a black fella play. You will see and feel the love that we have, not just for one another, but like for our life and for living, you know what I mean? And I always say that like about especially with survival, I think we forget that love has gotten us this far.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the love of our people, the love of our family, the love of our land.
Yeah.
Also, black people falling in love for us to exist. It is, I think we sort of forget that it isn't like when you have auntie love and they have your back, you just,
truly,
it's big warm hugs or even when you want to be held accountable, that is also through love.
Jarring you.
Of seeing, of going, I know you can be better than this. Yep. And that is through just the love of somebody seeing you. And I think I really wanted to write something where a lot of people felt seen. And it wasn't about the sort of stereotypes of what being black is, but underneath it all, because it's living day after day in this space as a black person. And that is the roller coaster.
I love that you've given that breath of fresh air to the industry in terms of this writing and the themes that it covers. I think for so long, theatre companies in particular have invested in trauma of our community and highlighting, important historical things like Through Stolen, that play, but also there's a lot of spotlight on the deficit or the trauma that is caused to our community. And I think what you've done beautifully is that you're highlighting our joy. And it's just as important, if not more, to be able to show that part of our community. I want to know what's on the horizon for you. So you've just opened Black Girls Don't Cry. Black Girls Don't Cry. Big Girls Don't Cry.
Show.
Yeah, that's the TV show. Big Girls Don't Cry. Would you love it to tour? And if so,
Yeah.
Would you tour with it? Or would you?
Ooh.
Yeah, I think I'll only tour it if I have the same company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we've just created such a family during
Yep.
this process.
Yep.
And I think none of us would know what to do if it
Yeah.
wasn't all of us.
Yes.
But I really hope so. The feedback that I've gotten from, I had a mum tell me that her 3 girls went to the school show, and 3 Aboriginal girls, and they walked out of it so with pride and just loving themselves.
Beautiful.
And I think that is so important, and the importance of arts and telling stories like this is to empower your people.
Yeah.
I just wanted to empower going, you belong here, we love you, we need you.
That's just beautiful. I'm looking forward to a lot of your future writings, Dalara. This is going to be exciting. Would you publish anything, like a book?
You know what? I think right now, sky's the limit. I would never limit myself. And if it happens, it happens. Big Girls is now a published play, which is unbelievable.
Yep.
I would love to then go into film. Film has always been my first passion. It's my first access to storytelling is through films.
Yeah.
My family and I are big fans of Eddie Murphy.
Wow.
And so you can sort of tell my writing, Coming to America is a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is this crazy comedy with this romance that is filtered through.
Oh my God, I haven't seen that film in so long.
Please watch it.
What's the golden thing? The golden penis? No.
No, the royal.
The royal.
The Royal, yeah.
Trust.
Yeah, trust.
He's thinking about something else.
But I completely being on stage and doing these really important stories
Yeah.
that understand these stories need to go out, but then you're, as a performer, as a black fella, you're sort of left empty because you're pouring so much out to an audience that you feel like it's falling on deaf ears sometimes, especially towards a predominantly white audience.
Yeah.
And I think there's a distance between them, and they're watching. It feels like they're watching through a glass window.
Yeah.
Where Big Girls, because we talk about the Trojan horse, you use the romance as the Trojan horse, so they're sort of invested in that romance, and then all this politics then comes through.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, because I go, my politics is always there, but you also want to go on dates, and you also want to read romance, and you want to escape, and you want to, and we should have the right to do that just as much.
Yeah. What would you say, I guess, to the people that, who are behind those sort of glass windows? What would you say to them to entice them to watch Big Girls Don't Cry?
What do you lose in wanting to invest in Aboriginal people? You don't lose anything. You actually gain so much.
Yeah.
If you step 2 feet in and just want to go on this roller coaster that is Big Girls Don't Cry.
Cry.
That was really Australian.
The girls don't cry. That sounds like Guy Simon in the role with Ernie.
Yeah.
He's real
He's
big
real,
girls don't cry.
that Australian accent
Queenie.
just kicks up.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, it's I always ask that going, you don't lose anything, but you gain so much. But it has to be up to the individual and how much you want to. You only can go as deep as you are as deep to yourself.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like
and
that.
when whatever comes up, it's go away, then unpack it. But to see Aboriginal women do things that are very similar to you when it comes to love, when it comes to friendship, going, we're not that far apart. Especially in social life.
Yeah.
But we then have this really deep-rooted history that we carry with us forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's something very beautiful in our survival, that we can still stand here and be so kind and still be so loving and
Yeah.
and still want to be generous.
I think that's actually paramount to your character as well. You know, these values that you're talking about, your character in the play very much is that, I think that what you've done brilliantly is in society, I find that when you're talking about First Nations affairs, it can be very polarizing. So you've created this love story, as you said, and you've given so much context to why these characters are the way they are,
Yeah.
that there's a huge learning for people who aren't a part of our community, you know, not just historically in terms of the things that you're bringing up, like, you know, even the time period, the time of Redfern, the war that's happening in Vietnam, you know, all these little moments that really pop you back in that time and place. And I feel like you've done it so intricately, where it's like some people will zone out if it's shoved down their throats.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something to consider as a First Nations, you know, playwright, you know, and I think you've considered it so well. It's
Thank you.
It's so welcoming, the sense of like, I'm in the story, I'm getting the things that I need to be aware of when it comes to like First Nations people and
Giving context. Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like you're being like, you are wrong.
It's not a lecture.
It's not us against
Yes.
you, you know.
Yeah.
And I
Stating
love that.
facts. Probably stating facts, not coming from like too much of an emotional thing of, you know, like you're putting these moments in history. I've never seen the play, but like I can imagine you're stating these facts and then being like, yeah, but like, look, this is beautiful, all this other stuff. And it's like, again, you're not like polarizing it to like pointing the finger, I guess. And like, I think
There's no pointing the finger, that's right.
I believe like all of these stories, like, you know, other plays and other films and other books and stuff, they all kind of entwine and they all kind of come rooted from history, but it's how you tell it in first. But then also it's all a ripple in the ocean. Like, you know, someone might not know anything, watch your play and be like, oh shit, yeah, that happened. Or I might like go do some research and then actually go down a rabbit hole of actually like researching and understanding and educating themselves. So it's all just part of the bigger picture stuff.
Touching on that, Brooke, like one thing that you just brought to mind was the fact that you really humanize us.
Yes.
You know, I think that one thing that people will walk away with is they see us through all the moments that you've written as more human. And I think that is such a powerful thing.
Yeah, I was just saying, going with the relationship to the audience, to the characters, is that you're learning the same time as the characters are learning.
Yes.
Ernie's probably, because he's going to university and so he's really well read and trying, but he's still trying to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And he has this sort of hope for the revolution and we can do this and we can do that, but he's still very learning. And then at the same time can't talk to women. He sort of bumbles about with his words. Cheryl is very flawed. And I think writing Aboriginal characters are also flawed.
Yes.
That we don't have the answer and we're just trying to figure this out. This is our first time living on this planet, living this life. And so, of course, you're going to, I think I have the answer, but that is the wrong time, wrong place. And then you just try again. Yeah. And I think having an audience respond in that kind of way of just going, oh, I feel for them in a human way because they're just doing very human stuff. And the circumstances just change.
Yeah.
Truly.
Well, speaking of audiences, I know that you probably got a play today, don't you? To do. You've got a matinee, right? A matinee and a show tonight. So we're going to have to wrap this up. I've been getting the wrap up. I know that you're supposed to be over at the theatre, but thank you so much for spending time with us today, Dalara.
Yeah,
it's
been so beautiful.
It's such a wonderful piece of work that you've written and that you've created. I feel like it's one to go down in the history books in terms of, you know, creating a path for black joy on stage.
Yes.
I think that's
Give me more.
That's really inspiring.
Yeah.
So
I'm happy to take that on and write more black joy and black love. I am more than happy to stay that way.
yes, I love it.
Yes,
well, thank you
Sissy.
so much for your time. And anyone who wants to see the play, when does it wrap?
We finish up on the 27th of April, so it's only been a short season.
Yep.
So get in.
Get in while you can.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that the wonderful Ian Michael is the director.
Yes.
And he's missing closing note because it's going to be at Beyonce.
And
but
that's
anyway.
the only yes that I go, you know what, you better be on that plane.
Truly.
All right, sis.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank
much,
you so
sis.
much.
Have a great time. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.